Welcome. Shalom, Shmuel.
Good to see all of you.
It's good to be here. Good to be seen.
I need to practice the way they say it in the South, y'all. It's a very easy way to welcome people. Love to
Well,
see y'all,
no, it's plural. It's all y'all.
all y'all. Today we had a Zoom with Australia. It went beautiful.
Oh, good.
And I
Did Sarah
realized
come on and give a mini demo or a plug for her?
it was amazing, amazing. Everybody was so hungry after that.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I've got to talk to her and see if she's willing to, if we have interest of doing it, like maybe 6 or 8 o'clock her time.
So it's like gonna be a special only for that, you mean?
Yeah.
Cool. Very nice. I thought of bringing her today now as well, but I said first we have like a busy schedule, we have more things happening, and also it's late at night,
Yeah. No,
can go
it's
to
fine.
sleep.
But you do have a special guest coming on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about her? I think it's
True,
noon, so we can go ahead and get started.
sweet. So really today, it's going to be a bit different. Unfortunately, I couldn't book her in advance. She's very, very busy. Her name is Roni Bluth. And Roni Bluth, she's a neighbor from Tufin. She lives in our
Wow.
community, and she's going to tell a story. But basically, what happened was her husband was injured at the first day of the war, the second day, I want to say 7 or 8 of October in the north. Not at all connected to what happened in Gaza, but of course with an attack. Maybe I'm confusing and it happened in the Gaza Strip, but I know it wasn't really inside Gaza. And after he got injured, she started a journey basically in see where this issue takes her, how to cope with the situation that your husband is injured and your family is now, I don't want to say broken to pieces, but really challenged. And she did a lot of things that she's going to talk about. But what really like made me make this call today is because, and I'm going to ask her about it. She did something amazing the other day, and she posted a video, a podcast of her daughter. Her daughter is maybe 10 or 11 years old, speaking with other girls that their father was injured as well, which I found wow. Like, so I saw it to my daughters. They didn't know about it, and she was like, she's my age. One of my daughters said, and it's crazy how this like mature kid, 10 years old, 11, talks about the fact that the father was injured and how does it feel and the fear and not receiving him the way he was. Crazy, really,
That's
really, really
amazing.
strong. So we're going to bring her here, and I think we're going to open this topic in many directions. And she's going to come maybe in 20 something minutes. At 30, it's at 2:30. And I want to start today by giving a bit of context to the general subject I want to discuss today. And it's an obvious subject. We had a stop from that. Um, holidays. Holidays are always a very important part of the Jewish calendar. Basically, we live to those holidays, and as the joke said, every holiday starts with they wanted to kill us, they weren't successful, let's eat. And Hanukkah was coming next week is exactly the same. And an holiday, a major holiday, you would say, that is different than all others because of many reasons. And but the main reason is because it's not mentioned in the Torah. It's a very late situation that happened way, way, way after finishing of the Torah, and it's a holiday that when you really think about it, it's a bit a weird occasion. So what are we celebrating in Hanukkah? And if I need to ask you, like, what would you say? What happened in Hanukkah that we need to celebrate?
Shmuel, you do know that Hanukkah is mentioned in the Christian Bible, though, yes?
I know, but it's still not inside the Bible. That the
Right,
in Hebrew Bible, the book of
right.
Hasmoneans is in. We call it the exterior books. It's part of it. It's part. It's holy, and there's a lot of things we're taking from it. But I would say, it's a later stage of the stories, right?
For sure, for sure.
So what
But a lot of
happened?
Christians don't know that it's mentioned because it's mentioned in the book of John.
Hmm, the actual story is mentioned in the book of John.
Yeah, well, it talks about that Jesus went into Jerusalem to the temple to celebrate the festival of lights. Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
So I did not know that. I did not know that. I actually wanted to say that there's a book called the Book of Maccabees, and that's a book that basically tells the story, and it's one of a group of books that didn't make it to the Bible. It's funny we say it didn't make it to the Bible because according to our sages, there was a discussion what book should be placed inside the Bible. There was a discussion about it, and like the biggest debate was about the Songs of King Solomon and the Book of Esther. Is it a story that needs to be there for the rest of eternity? Never mind. I'm just saying it's anyway. It's a later concept, but the biggest question I asked before is why do we celebrate? Why do we celebrate Hanukkah? Give me a one-liner. No, somebody asked you why do you celebrate Hanukkah? What do you say? Team, everybody's shy, so you need to give the answer.
Nobody else wants to unmute, huh? Uh, why do we celebrate Hanukkah? Because it is the celebration of light over darkness.
Okay, so you already gave me like a couple of elements here. There's darkness, there's light, but it all boils down into something that is, if you ask me, pretty surprising that we have a holiday on that. And that's the holiday of the lights. That there was one vessel of oil that was good enough for 8 days. That's a reason to celebrate the holiday. So I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. So you know how Jewish people, and especially the people of the sages, were debating about every subject, right? Every minor subject was debatable. And there's one question, right, that received thousands of answers. And that's the question. The question is, it's called the Bet Yosef question. It goes as follows. Be with me for a second. Imagine this. So the Maccabees arrived to the temple. And we know that all the oils were broken. There was no kosher oil to use for the menorah until now, correct? We all know that.
Yep.
And they start to dig, and there's like in the side, there's like where all the vessels were, and they find a small vessel with oil, and the oil is being poured to the menorah, and it lights, and it's enough for 8 days. This is the miracle, correct? We all know that. Listen to the question. The oil was enough for one day. Therefore, the miracle was actually for how long? For 7 days. The first night when they filled the menorah and they lit it, it was nature, right? That's oil enough for one day. And yet we celebrate the day for 8 days. Maybe it was supposed to be 7 days because the miracle was the change that 7 days the oil was there remaining. That's the question. Why 8 and not 7? There's books that brings 1,000 different answers for this question that explains it in a very, very distinguished way of how to explain it. I'll give you 3 elements. Number one, even in the first night, They were afraid because they wanted to leave some, so they just poured just a bit of oil, and that oil was good for the whole night. So even in the first night, it was a miracle. Second is the concept that says the 7 days were enough oil, but even the fact they found the oil was another miracle. But the strongest answer that I want to say, and I'm here to give you a brief for Israel, is exactly the topic of what happens right now in Israel. If you want to know what's the biggest topic that happens in Israel, it's a topic that I personally spoke in this Zoom maybe 5-6 times. The biggest subject that Israel is talking about right now is the story of, yet again, what will happen with the ultra-Orthodox going to the army or not. That's the debate, and that's the topic that nobody stops talking about. A short brief, because we spoke about it in length. The ultra-Orthodox community, since the establishment of Israel, has this deal that they don't draft to the army because they learn Torah, because they learn Jewish studies, because they have a platform of life that is not capable, in their perspective, to go to the army. It's either they're too young, or they get married too young, or they have children already, or because the atmosphere of the army is not capable for a religious person. Anyhow, they're not in the army in the last 75 years since the establishment of Israel. And we took it for granted all those years that they avoid the army, and we take it on ourselves, and it's good enough. And it's very connected to the subject we're going to talk about soon, because you're going to meet a lady who's a mother. She's married to somebody who is in his late 30s, and he went to the reserve, and he fought, and he was injured, and now there's a broken family. And yet these guys, the ultra-Orthodox, 18 years old guys, young guys, they're not in the army. They're not drafting to the army. And the debate in Israel in the last 2 years it arrived to a boiling point. Why? Because only now, after 75 years from our existence of modern-day state of Israel, the feeling is that if they're not going to participate, we are entering a big problem. Today, guys are drafted to reserve to more than 60, 70 days a year. And we need soldiers, and we need help. So I spoke about what's the third reason of the ritual of 8 nights miracle is because, according to the sages, the miracle that you really need to focus on Hanukkah, it wasn't even the miracle of the oil. It was the miracle of the war. I have lights. Maybe you can see me better now. The miracle of the war was the fact that the Maccabees went and fought just small numbers against big numbers, heroes versus weak people. And with the help of God and the help of their might and wisdom, they were able and they were capable to win the wars. And that's the reason why we have another perspective in Hanukkah. Actually, a perspective that now changes the whole concept of the holiday. You know why we're celebrating Hanukkah? Because of the war. Because it came to a point that we didn't have any choice, and we had to fight for our existence. And in the midst of the fight of our existence, we had to take our swords, we had to take our rifles. They didn't have rifles, whatever they had, swords and ancient weapons, and we had to fight. And then a miracle happened. You know what happened in the end? In the very end, when they arrived to the temple, God told them, so-called, and said, hey, you want to see something? I was with you the whole time. You see this vessel of oil? That's a memory. That's something to recall, to remember. that even in the darkest moments when you fought and you thought it was only you, I was there with you at all times. And now I'm going to give you this present, a symbol of the miracle that there's going to be light for 7 days. And you will remember that I was always with you. And that's the perspective of Hanukkah I like to mention. And even there's a debate. Because the ultra-Orthodox people who are not serving in the army are coming back and saying something radical at this holiday. You know what they say? They say, our dear friends, you didn't understand the story. What happened with those Greeks? What happened with the Roman emperor? Did they really wanted to kill you? They never wanted to kill you. They asked for one thing. Change your culture. Change your perspective, change your tradition, stop learning Torah, stop performing the rituals, be part of the culture around you. And in that moment, when you look at the story from that angle, now the story has changed altogether. You know what's the story of Hanukkah? The story of Hanukkah is a story that tells you that our culture, our unique culture, we're small in numbers, but if we don't keep our traditions, and if not, we don't keep our lights going on, we will have a problem. Therefore, the Maccabees, they did everything possible. And you know when they went to fight? Only when they saw there was no other choice. When there's no other choice, then they said, okay, we're going to go to war. But it's only when we saw our brothers and sisters, the Jewish people, changing their perspective, living their culture, living their traditions, and becoming like the mass public around them. And that's a radical perspective. So for them, it's very clear what they will go and focus on, actually the story of the light, of the miracle. In a way, the war is not important, because you know what we care about? The fact that God was there to perform miracles. This debate over the holiday of Hanukkah is something that is funny that it happens right now, because right now on the streets of Israel there are demonstrations yet again. The people of Israel had enough, and they want to see the ultra-Orthodox people joining the party and drafting as well. And the ultra-Orthodox people are fighting for their existence, and they're not willing to step one side forward to do anything that's going to be resembling on blending in the society. In a way, and it's hard to say, in a way, they live in an atmosphere that means that I live in Israel, but I'm not part of the society in Israel. I'm not celebrating the state. I'm not part of it. I can be anywhere in the world as long as I'm able to perform the rituals and the customs of my religion. And that's an awful hard thing to say, but that's true. In their perspective, between a decision of living in Brooklyn, New York, or living in the state of Israel and going to the army, they have 100% no doubt they prefer living in Brooklyn, New York, if their tradition won't be jeopardized. Now, between us, now it's not a good time maybe to live in New York with the new mayor, but generally speaking, the tradition is what they care about, and they're on the streets fighting. And funny enough, in a complete different note, today is a very special day that none of you heard of. It's a very, very Jewish, religious, Hasidic day. It's called the 19th of Kislev. The 19th of the month of Kislev. And I'll tell you what happened. It's a very interesting story. So, where are you located in the world? I know we have Colorado in the house. What other states we have around?
Looks like we've got Mexico. I'm not sure where Victoria's from. Rick's from Pennsylvania. Shannon's California.
Gabriel from Florida.
Florida.
So Florida to California.
Red Deer, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, in
Alberta,
Canada,
very
yes.
good, very good examples. I love it. The truth is this, I tricked you. Because it's not important where you would say you're from. I will tell you there's a Jewish presence in your area. And the presence in your area comes from a very interesting group in Judaism, a group that has a custom or a tradition to go to the farthest places in the world and bring and continue the light of Judaism. Somebody knows who I'm talking about? What group literally has a branch in everywhere you just mentioned and more? You know the name? The name is, of course, Chabad. Lubavitch Chabad. If you ever saw a Jew in town with a hat looking like a Jew, you know he is from the local Chabad house. Chabad. Search it up. You have one at your area for sure.
They are everywhere. Sometimes two. We've got two in Colorado Springs.
Oh, sometimes two, sometimes 10, sometimes they have a complete compound. Why? So I'm gonna share with you this small history. 250 years ago, there was a rabbi who was a second generation to the movement of Hasidus. The Hasid movement said something that I think all of us will appreciate. And he says something very simple in one sentence. Don't get confused when you perform things and acts. If you don't bring your soul into it, your connection, your heart into it, it's worth nothing. I'll repeat. When you see people acting in any ritual, any religion, and they do something just because they need to do it, and they don't bring their hearts, they don't bring their connections into it, you understand they are missing on a big thing. And the situation was that this movement started off by a rabbi who said, we need to bring our soul into the work of God. And from there, the head of this movement, name was Shneur Zalman, the story was that he was taken into prison. And he sat in prison by the Russians for a couple of weeks. And when he was released, it was the day, the 19th of the month of Kislev. And he said that the day that he would be released will become the anniversary of the new year, if you wish, of this movement. So every corner in the world today is celebrating the light of this movement of Chabad and bringing the light to every corner of the Jewish world. Now, it's really connected to Hanukkah. Because if you ask me, what did we have to learn from Hanukkah is exactly that. Remember when the Maccabees entered the temple and they were looking for just a kosher oil, pure oil, and they couldn't find? The story tells us how eventually they found. And our rabbis explained this is a very important thing to learn. You should know that even in the darkest moment, even when you think everything is lost, even if you cannot see any glimpse of light, you should know there's always going to be a kosher stamped piece of vessel of oil of a tradition that can be kept. And the movement of Chabad does exactly that. Now, let's take Colorado Springs, where Kim is from. Not many Jews live in the area. But these two couples come to there and basically are searching and allowing every person that travels or comes or by mistake stops there, you have a place that you can call your home. a place that you can come and have the rituals, the Shabbatot, the holidays. We can help you. We are there for you. Now think of the concept, my friends. You are a young couple and you're being asked to move to literally corners of the earth and open your house to strangers. And it's not something for a year or two. It's for the rest of your life in a way. So you come, you need to bring your kids to places that nobody is around you. There's not a Jewish community. You don't have kosher food. You don't have a kosher school. You have nothing. And you are an emissary. You are a messenger to bring Judaism into everybody who wants to accept it. And Colorado Springs is not so bad. It's a beautiful place. I'm talking about people that open branches in the middle of China, Cambodia, the Philippines, everywhere, everywhere in the world. That's a remarkable situation when you think about it. And it all started today with this rabbi who came and said, now we are spreading the light. We're spreading the light, allowing Jewish people to feel that they have a room, they have a place anywhere in the world. We will help them to do that. And he also taught us one of the biggest lessons about light and about Hanukkah altogether. And he said as follows. He said, when you light one candle, one fire, you know the amazing thing about it. From that one candle, one light, you can spread millions of lights and nobody's going to stop you. Think about it. One person that you connected, that you brought back. How many generations of lights can you light from it? So, and it doesn't take anything from you. The opposite. And when you're going and you light those small lights everywhere, it brings in light and shoos away the darkness. And that's the message of Hanukkah, the deep message of Hanukkah. And this morning, Sarah, she works with us in the Israeli office. She shared something very nice, and she said when she's an American originally, and when she lived in Florida, and as a young girl, she lived in an area that wasn't so Jewish, although Florida is completely Jewish. So I don't know where she lived, but she said it was a very strong feeling for her, and I think you can appreciate that for a young Jewish girl walking on the streets in Christmas time, it's all about the lights of Christmas. And it's all about the red, and it's all about the rituals of the holiday. And she really felt a bit outcasted. I mean, she didn't feel that there's any representation of her holiday. And she mentioned the fact, and it's a beautiful statement to say, that today when she lives in Israel and she lives in Samaria, she really feels that not only she went a full circle and she came back to her home, she literally lives among the areas where the Maccabees fought. Here behind me, you see an olive tree, and that's crazy to think about it, that these olive trees that are all around the area, these are olive trees that were used to bring those oil to the temple. And the fights that were all around Jerusalem and Ma'ale Levona and Bet Horon, and in those places are places with the same name and the same places till this day. So when you come to Israel, you can literally go to see where the Maccabees fought. And the big city where the Maccabees are from, the city of Modi'in, you can go and visit there. It's a city, a big city that people live in, Modi'in. And next to it, there's a community, because of that, that's called Hashmonaim, Hashmoneans. And next to it, there's a community that's called Lapid, which is a fire. It's all connected to this Hanukkah, this event in history that represents so much about our culture and about our presence and about light. And it's still resembling and continuing the cultural debate we have among ourselves of how to preserve our traditions and what to fight for and what's important and how can we bring this to the next generation and to the next our children and our great children. And I'll say on a personal note that funny enough, the rabbi who was released and the day of redemption, right, is today. Shneur Zalman from Ladi, the first rabbi of the Chabad movement. My kids are 9 generations after him. So my wife, from my wife's side, she comes from that family, and 9 generations back goes back to that person. So you can see how one light spreads so far, so long, and across the nation. And I see Roni has joined, and we're probably going to see her in a second. So I would love if you can open your cameras so Roni, she will notice she doesn't speak to herself and there are people around her listening to her. That will be great. Here's Roni. Hi, shalom.
Shalom ubracha. Hello, everyone.
So we're
Thank
very
you for
privileged to have Roni. Thank you so much for joining us, and especially with this last minute, although we said we're going to do it before. So first of all, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's raining outside. It's like a real big issue in Israel when it rains. So I'm sharing you with the weather.
They chose a very interesting name for this storm. How do they call it? The Byron?
Byron. Yeah.
Byron, yeah.
So, let's start. Shalom, Roni. How are you? We're very happy to have you here. Please, can you start by sharing who you are, where you're from, just basic.
Sure. So hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Roni. Sometimes it's Raffeld, but sometimes it's Bluth. I'm the wife of Pitzi. Pitzi in Hebrew means tiny. He's the youngest of 8, so he was named very, very with a funny name. I'm the mother of 4 children. I have Noam. She's 10 years old. David, 7.5. Itai is 4 years old, and the latest addition is Or, and she's 9 months old. So I'm here, and I'll share my story of October 7th. So at the beginning of the war, my husband Pitzi was severely injured on a firefight on the Lebanon border. He was shot in the face and miraculously survived. The bullet entered just underneath his nose. It shattered his upper jaw and was miraculously stopped inside the first vertebra in his neck. A very like nes gadol, a big miracle. For at least if I remember, it was like 5 months of very, very intense rehabilitation. His jaws were wired shut. He wore a neck brace, used a wheelchair, and fought every single day for a basic recovery. Well, the story shifts a bit. After those long months of rehabilitation, I made a big choice, decision. Instead of staying home after he regained his independence, I decided to go to the army as a reservist. I served for almost a year as an operations officer at the Paratroopers Brigade. It was amazing for me to do so. And what's really funny is when I reached my 8-month pregnancy while being in the reserve duty, my commanders told me, Roni, the Syrian border might be not be the best option for you right now. So I returned home, took off my uniform, and put back my other identity as the wife of a wounded soldier, and decided to. I founded Alumot Krav, which is a podcast that amplifies the voices of the wounded soldiers' wives. Um,
Roni, I'm stopping you for a second because you gave us a lot to process. So I just want to do a recap because to get it right. So your
okay,
husband is injured at the first day, the second day of the war, the first day,
the second one, yeah.
the second day in the Lebanon border. He's badly injured. He gets an injury in his jaw, right? Bullets in his face. So he's in bad condition and he's recovering and it takes time and he's like everything you said, wheelchair and all of it. And then, okay, so now he comes back and he begins to function at home or whatever. And now you decide, I heard correctly, you're going to go to the army as a reservist. So first explain to us, as a woman in Israel, are you obligated? Did you serve in the army when you were like, how does it go? We don't know all of that. Explain to us how it works in Israel.
Okay, so after you finish your senior year in high school, you are obligated to serve the country. As a woman, you have a choice to go to national service or you can go and join the army. For me, it was clear all the way that I'm going to serve the army. I served for and my mandatory service for 4 years in a basic training base. I finished my service. My last position was a company commander. And that's it. That was my period. Like that was my army
You
chapter in
served
life.
for 4 years.
Exactly.
So you were an officer in the army. You served as an officer in the army as well. So you signed for 2 extra years.
Exactly.
Okay. Then you're off duty. You don't need to go to reserve.
No, when a woman marries and have children, so she gets like a pass, and she doesn't need to go to to be a reservist. And they never called me all these years, and I didn't do enough. But then October 7th happened, and I was anxious. I wanted to put my uniform on. It's like a superhero cape. That's how I felt.
So you decide after he's injured, and so I need to ask this. Was he capable to stay home by himself, taking care of 3 kids? Was it easy for him? But you say, bye, I need to do this, and like, you should manage. How did this work?
I know it's sometimes when I listen to myself talk, I'm like Roni, it doesn't sound real. It's like it even sounds like she doesn't want to stay home and help her husband. She doesn't want to take care of her children. It's traumatizing to see your father the way he looked at the beginning. I understand it, but I really believe that the way we decide to manage and to handle the challenges in our life is the exact same way our children will walk and experience the same way as we did. At the beginning, of course, Pitzi needed my help 24/7, but I told you that Pitzi was the youngest of 8. I knew I married the best one in the family, and the injury even made me understand it and realize it even more. And he fought. He fought. Rehabilitation is sometimes even harder than the beginning of the injury. But as he regained his independence, I mean, he was able to drive the car. That for me was the final. How do you say the final? Definitely a code. The final chord. Yeah.
Yeah, cord. Yeah.
Of the for him, that's it. And that's when I decided to do my part in the war.
So you go to the war and you're going to the Gaza area. Do you see a lot of women reservists next to you?
Not a lot, but there were women there. I was very proud to be a woman, a mother, a pregnant woman also in the reserve duty. I was very, very happy that my children, when they said, well, my father was injured, but my mother is also a soldier in the IDF. For me, it was a very beautiful closure for them. Yeah, but not everyone has, not every uh, a wife of a wounded soldier has the same privilege of doing what I did.
First of all, I need to say that in the first half before you arrived, we spoke about the ultra-Orthodox, the Haredim, who are not serving at all. So look at this extreme example. Her husband is injured, so she goes and fights while she's pregnant. Okay, she's weird. We're not going to talk about it. She's off the charts. I want to understand if you can bring me into the subject of this new family situation, not with you, generally. You're talking with uh, other women who the husband is injured. I want to understand, just give me a couple of insights of what does it do to the family? What is the biggest challenges? Like, what happens then?
When are we talking about the reservist family or the wounded family?
The wounded family, that when the wife, her husband was wounded, right? That's the main subject of the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Um, well, you have to understand that the injury obviously affects the entire family. Um, every family member absorbs the trauma differently. Children become more anxious and more responsible, sometimes both. They sense everything, the tension, the fear, the new limitations. That's exactly why I decided to create Alumot Krav, to amplify these voices and to give them, to shed light on these voices.
And when you talk with them, what happens? I mean, what is the country doing to help and support those families? That's my concern. What happens
Okay.
then?
Okay. So Israel, like the state of Israel, invests significant resources in physical rehabilitation, long-term treatment, financial support. They 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 care, of course, but we're talking about thousands and 10,000s of wounded soldiers since the beginning of the war. So the system can't reach everything. They can't reach every family. They can't reach every problem, and that's where you feel the burden. The healing is it takes a lot of time, and I'm telling you from looking back, 2 years of looking back, it doesn't become easier. It becomes even harder as time goes by. Um, yeah.
So you find that there are needs for those families, and I'm asking it because in our organization in CFOIC, we did a big campaign. We called it the resilience campaign, which we wanted to support exactly those kind of situations where I'm saying you're amplifying, you're telling the stories. Where
Okay.
do you think there's actual need of something that money can help here?
Okay. So many women become caregivers overnight. They suddenly carry the entire family emotionally, financially, logistically. They navigate hospitals, rehabilitation, and endless uncertainty, but also being a mom and packing lunches for the kids for the day after. You ask me, give me an idea, an example of what to do. And it's a great question. I just came back from a meeting with wounded soldiers' wives, and I can tell you that we have different workshops that for even body image and hope workshops, something for to help you emotionally cope and deal and manage the new life. Um, there are families that are struggling financially. There are soldiers that have injuries that they need medical support, like medical experts. I remember we were sitting in front of a doctor, and Pitzi was asking him, just to understand, Pitzi was asking him like 2 months after the injury. He asked that doctor. He said, how long will it take for me to go back to the reserves? And that doctor looked at him and said, listen, I never sat in front a person that was shot in the face and the bullet was stuck in his first vertebra. And he asked me when will be the right time for him to put the helmet back on his head. So every injury is special and unique, and you need to find the expert for that. So that's what we deal for. I'm talking from my point of view.
My in my introduction to you in the beginning of this conversation, I've mentioned the fact that I saw something very interesting the other day you posted, and it was your daughter, right? She's in the fifth grade, correct? And
Correct.
and she had a conversation with another girl who also her father was injured. I'd love you to share about it. What happens there?
So that's amazing. That's a really special project. I called it Alumot Krav Daughter Series, where my 10-year-old daughter interviews the daughters of wounded soldiers. These girls were forced to grow up really fast. They too carry a story, and they too deserve to the space to speak about it. And the comments and the telephones that I received from just one episode are overwhelming, really, in a good way. And really, for me, is to understand that I have the ability to give other people the microphone, just to hold the microphone for them and tell the story. And the stories help other people understand what it's like to be a wounded family. So that's a really special project.
You're saying the word wounded family, and I think this is the biggest message that I came across from you is the fact that it's a family. So your husband is being injured, but it's like, what about the wife? What about the kids? What about his parents? What about his siblings? He has seven of them. It's like it's so many circles of connections. And as you said, the numbers are crazy. Like how many tens of thousands of injuries, some very severe, some less. And I want to tell you that, and I shared it with our people that I have a friend, Liraz Zeira. You probably heard of him because he's quite a famous guy. He's a rabbi, and he lost two legs. Now, a couple of months ago, around Yom Kippur, he learned with
In
me.
Lebanon,
Yes,
right?
and he was with me in class. Today
Wow.
he's a Chabad guy, but he was one of us. And then he like went through this journey in life, and now he's a Hasid Chabad, and he lost two legs, and he became very famous because he gives those lectures and those lessons, and everybody's so wow, and you're amazing, and you're amazing.
Very optimistic.
Right, but how many people sit at home, devastated, feeling that I have no future? In our community, we have a couple of guys who were injured, and everybody gets it in a different way. Can you share from your perspective where you can take energy from it? Where Pitzi took energy from it? Where can you take encouragement in what you're facing and to say, I can keep on going? Where do you take it from?
Well, it's a great question. First of all, from our children. They look up to us, and we have the ability to show them that even though you are in a very dark time in your life, you find the strength to grow.
Step up. Yeah, grow.
Exactly. And that's what, by the way, that's why we called our youngest, when she was born, we called her Or. And Or in Hebrew is light. In English is light. Because there was a lot of darkness in the way, on the way. But we, when you're in a dark, very dark room, you don't only need a glimpse of light, and it's not so dark anymore. So I think the answer for us was our children. And also, I have to tell you that the reason I went to Miluim, to the reserves, I really believed I am going to bring back all the hostages. And for me, the moment when they told us that Shiri Bibas and Ariel and Kfir, her babies, were murdered in Gaza, for me it was devastating. It was I can't even explain the feeling as a mother. Um, it was hard, as if I knew her my entire life. But I went every time I went to the reserves, and every time I stayed for a night shift, and every time it was only to bring them back.
Roni, last question from my end. It's two questions. Number one, how do you feel today? How is Pitzi's situation? Where is it different than now, Pitzi now and Pitzi 2 years ago? Okay. And and the second question is, you're taking this podcast and you're interviewing people. Number one, what's the message you wanna bring across? Or just the awareness? Or and where else do your dreams take you with helping those families?
Great questions. Well, life before was simple, stable, predictable, sort of, life in Israel. We can't really know, but it was okay. It was normal. And life after is a constant balancing act between physical limitations, emotional wounds, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is hard, and the daily effort of holding the family together. Every decision is heavier. Every task takes more energy. Um, but we're managing, we're handling, we're happy that PT is here. We're happy that the entire family is together. There's a lot of good things because of the injury. Both parents are home, so that helps.
Pitzi is at home now. He's not serving. He's not working. He's staying at home.
No, actually, no. He went back to work. That's also something that really helped him. He also went back to the reserves. Yeah, it's bigger than us, I think.
That's true. It's stronger than you. It's stronger than you.
It's stronger than exactly. What was the second question? You have to remind me.
That more than the awareness you want to bring, I mean, what's the number one message, and also where do you see it? Where the vision taking this, helping and supporting those families?
Perfect. So I think for me is to explain that behind every wounded soldier stands a woman who is fighting her own war quietly, humbly, with incredible strength. I tell people, just listen to her, see her, support her. The resilience is part of Israel's miracle, really. And for me, when I talk about the initiative of Alumot Krav, for now it's a podcast, but my vision is to expand these voices, not by using also only their voice, but also expressing their feelings and thoughts by art workshops, music. The sky's the limit. In my dream, when I think about it, is like having an exhibition of wounded soldiers' wives that are presenting their artworks because of what happened, and just spreading these voices, the hidden voices, but very powerful ones. That's my vision.
Amazing, amazing. Listen, Roni, first of all, when you were saying that one light like shows away a lot of darkness, that's the theme of what we talked about today. The lights, it's Hanukkah. That's exactly the point. And what you bring is so strong. It's strong because number one, I need to say to the people, she's not the average person. She's crazy. Going and doing such a thing after her husband was injured and being pregnant. Okay, so she's crazy. But even having somebody like that, okay, showcases really the miracle and the amazing people we have around us, surrounding us. And Pitzi grew up in Samaria and Judea as well. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, of course, yeah. Of course, Jerusalem. Where else? So you have people that it's in their blood, it's in their veins, they're heroes, and what you're doing here, I think it's remarkable, and I want to participate in it. I want to help that as well. I think it's so important, and actually we're going to continue to talk about it because much more needs to be made in that way. I'm gonna. It's an inner circle thing, but Kim knows about it. That one of our biggest things throughout this war was about the resilience, and we were very close, and we are still close to opening something very, very big, and that scenario of resilience. And I hear what you're saying, and I think about it. We have so much things to do in Israel right now, right? It's crazy. You just brought out and you shined on something, on a subject that nobody else talks about. And there are so many different areas that we need to shine light on because the state went through such a big trauma, such a huge war, and what we release in the end, heroism and resilience, and we need to showcase and help that. So thank you for helping us do this and in your corner, which is so important. Um,
I just have to say, I'm just like a small story. There are so
I
I
know.
hear women talk about it, the women that I host on my podcast, and I'm it could be a different woman sitting here and telling you her story. I'm not the only person with a crazy story. I can tell you.
Roni, you should do it in English. You should interview somebody who knows English and do a
I know.
conversation in English.
I know. There's one episode with English subtitles, so you should look it up. So it also helps. But of course, I need a every production costs money, unfortunately. So yeah,
I'm telling you, it's so important. It's such an important voice to tell, and I'm very happy that you came today. And we will continue the conversation and see how we can log and help these brave families. I really think we owe you everything. You know, we talk about it. We put a lot of interest and we talk about the fallen soldiers, of course, but brave soldiers of families that changed their life because they were heroic enough to go and send their husband. I'm telling you, that's the one thing I always talked about in the last 2 years. People from outside of Israel don't understand that all of Israel was in this crazy situation. And brave people, 30 plus family, we know all of them went and everybody did everything he could for this existential, it's not the right word, but that's, I'm going to say it, war for Israel. So thank you so much, Roni. If we have
thank you
one,
for
2 minutes,
having me.
maybe somebody has a question. If you want to ask
Sure.
something.
I'm just going to jump in and say thank you so much, Roni. Like, one of the things I'm bringing a tour in March, and this is something that we've really focused on. Not only families that have had husbands wounded, but just husbands gone.
Yeah.
To be a suddenly overnight single family, single moms raising kids. This has been a tremendous sacrifice that pretty much every single family in Israel has dealt with, and even thank God the ones that come home safe. I think every day that's the question that people are facing is what if today, what if. Um, so we just, wow, thank you for sharing your strength, and you just do it because it's who you are, and this is what needs to be done. And when we look at the history of Israel, I think that's it comes from a long line of people saying this is what needs to be done, and we're just going to do what needs to be done and not worry about it. But anyone that is looking to go to Israel, it is not a tour, but it is meeting people like Roni and seeing real families and hearing real stories of what's really happened behind the scenes. Because I think we've seen a lot of headlines, we've seen a lot of, political garbage over the last 2 years, of what's going on in Israel, but what's really happening behind the scenes. And that's my hope and prayer, and what I'm planning on in March when I bring everybody. So hope you can join us.
Amazing. Of course. Thank you. It's very warming, like, to understand there are parts in the world that still support us. It's hard to read the news and to watch TV and see all the anti-Semitism, and it's hard, and it's very helpful to hear you.
You are fighting a righteous war for sure. Like, yeah. I mean, it really is easy to, well, I don't know if it's easy, but during this time of Hanukkah to look at where we're at and to make the comparisons to today. There are a lot of parallels for sure.
Okay, Roni, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. In this opportunity, we're wishing all of you happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, happy New Year, all the happy and joy. And Roni, באמת, thank you so much for what you do. You really, I was so impressed and I was so touched, and we need to do more together to bring your stories out to the people and to help you continue to have those dreams. I mean, it's rare for me to find somebody that you see that, like, one person like took something and went all in, and I think it's radical. So thank you.
Thank
And
you. I
keep
just
up
want
the
to
good
say
work.
that your support it's not just to help a podcast. It helps preserve the emotional history of this war. It helps the wives. It helps the children feel seen. And it strengthens the bridge between us. So thank you so much for being here and listening. And thank you Shmuel for the microphone.
Thank you, Roni. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.